Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next one comes from Francisco Diaz Music. I think this one's a very decent length one. I have to read the notes. No, it's not. It's okay. And this was in response to the Korg Kronos III Game Changer, or just an update, a Sunday morning rant I did in January 2021. Actually, to be honest, there's going to be a lot of these because this was a very commented on video for lots of different reasons. Anyway, Francisco writes, I'm a Korg Kronos user and I've established all my music and repertoire on this keyboard. It's an absolutely solid piece of gear. Of course, I'm looking at the Kronos III. Back in 2020 when I first got this board, I knew eventually I knew it would eventually get discontinued, like all electronic products. Yet I knew from the first song I created on this on it, this keyboard is the one I'm going to use until I retire. It's powerful, it's complete, and it's an abyss of tools. It's a keeper. The same way many musicians feel about the DX7 and the D50 as legendary keyboards, the Kronos is always also making musical history. The keyboard players will remember this Kronos era. I'm glad they brought it back. Even after 13 years on the market, it goes head to head easily with the Montage M, the Roland Fantom EX. Heck, in some aspects, it still tops them. Truly powerful to this day. I would probably say that everybody who owns a flavour of the Korg Kronos is looking at the Korg Kronos 3 and thinking, do I need it? Like you, when I played the Korg Kronos, and for me, when I first played the Korg Kronos, it was the Kronos X at the time, and I was really just blown away. The problem was, and this was a problem, I just purchased the Roland Jupiter 80 at the time and couldn't, that was about £2,500 when I purchased that. That's UK. So all of a sudden, having something that was, I don't know, at 3,000 quid wasn't kind of palatable. So I just couldn't justify the outlay. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. And I have to be absolutely honest, and I've said this so many times on the channel, I have never, ever worried about buying the Korg Kronos 2 brand new. It looks at me every day in the Hobbit Hut, which is my new name for this building, by the way. They call it the Hobbit Hut. Originally it was Studio A, but I think the Hobbit Hut is kind of stuck. So it's going to be known as the Hobbit Hut from now on. And it just says play me. And I play it every day pretty much. If you've watched other videos on the channel, you will know that I do own a number of legendary legacy synthesizers, keyboards, including the couple that you've mentioned in your comment. I do own, actually I own 2 DX7s, and if you count the D550, 2 D50s. And they do have their place. And if you want the sound of that area, then I can nip off the storage, recover the keyboard, dial it in very quickly for what I want, and that's fine. I've also been known to recreate the sounds on the Kronos, but typically that requires time, and it's something that's been very precious to me over the last few years. So if I want the sound, it's probably easier for me to spend 15 minutes running up to storage, because storage is not far from where I live. I moved everything down from where it used to be, and I was commuting an hour to get to storage. I moved it all down a couple of years back, so it's all now quite close. So it's 15 minutes up the road. It takes me 15 minutes to whiz up there go into my storage unit, get what I need, and whiz back. So it's not a massive onerous on me. And storage, funny enough, is open till 9 o'clock at night. So it opens at 6 o'clock in the morning and closes at 9 o'clock at night. So I can get in there pretty much any time I like, unless it's the middle of the night. Now, I would agree that the Korg Kronos holds its own. It really, I still think it does, with other contenders in the space. However, they are built on new platforms, and this allows new features to be rolled out as and when those features become available by the manufacturer, which is something that is easier done on their platforms than it is done on the Kronos. So the Kronos is only going to fall a little bit more behind as time goes on, is where I am. So I'm too glad that the Kronos 3 has arrived. Next comment question comes from Sergio de Oliveira. And this was in response to Roland TR8. As a MIDI controller, Roland Fantom is class compliant. Mailbag I did in February 2025. And Sergio writes, the term generic USB and the setting on the Fantom only makes the Fantom class compliant from a MIDI device. Us Fantom owners keep asking Roland to make it class compliant from an audio device. Now, this is the first time somebody's actually said this. It's been going round and round for a couple of weeks now with people commenting about this. But I don't own a Fantom, so therefore I couldn't comment on what actually you got in generic mode and what you got in advanced mode. And now I do understand. So I can't, because it's a more technical question, I kind of have to wait for you guys that follow the channel to actually write in and say whether I'm right or not. But really, really thank you for clarifying what class compliance actually means to a Roland Fantom owner, because I have it not being audio class compliant, I can see being a right raw pain in the butt if you're using it for recording.